Well, well, well. We are back. Return of the Devlogs for the Oot map. This is crazy. We're gonna just hop straight into things here. I don't really have anything hugely planned here, so we're just gonna kind of roll with it and see what I want to talk about. I have a general idea, which is mainly here's the broad scope of like where we're at, what we're doing, how things are going. So let's get started here. Right off the bat, you may notice I have a new little dev room. The colors on the previous one were kind of gross, and now it's a lot more convenient and cool. I've also adjusted how the teleport room looks, so this is very nice and clean. Every little area here is like its own little category. So we have the foresty type areas, Goron type mountainous things, desertish, waterish, Ganonish, and Zelda-ish. Yes, above right now, these are just temporary blocks, but these all indicate what places are completely finished right now in terms of multiplayer and general updates. The red is, I haven't even touched them yet. Oh, how could I? How could I just neglect places? Magenta is what I want to work on next. And then lastly, this yellow one is specifically what I'm currently working on. So I'm currently on Goron City, trying to get that one updated. I have not touched a single dungeon yet, which is almost what's left right now. The magenta are the last overworld places, and then once I have all these magentas finished and Goron City, it'll just be pretty much mainly dungeon focused from there. Maybe a little over 50% now of locations are done. Again, I don't know how dungeons are going to work. I can't tell if they're going to be like super fast or super slow, because I do need to rework all bosses, but I also might need to rework stuff in the dungeons themselves, but maybe not. I feel like there's not a lot in the dungeons themselves, but again, we'll see. As like a broad thing of like what I've been doing, a lot of things are just being improved on. That's like the main thing that I've been going through. So like block changes, this entire area has been recreated to be a lot bigger than it used to be. Here's an example of what it looked like before. Whoa. Oh, and the other major one, mannequins. This is crazy. I just finished every single mannequin, so that is all done. So we have like 120, give or take, characters, masks included, and other stuff, and like different iterations of Ganon or whatever. So there was a lot. Skull Kid, maybe. Skull Kid was the last one I did, so I gave everything I could into this one. So if you don't like it, but yeah, like kind of the first step has just been like improving places, making them look better. Speaking of improving, oh, it's just screwed. Why are there 8 of them there? I don't know. There's a lot of random small stuff that I need to still work on. There's a lot of bugs. Dude, I don't even get me started on how freaking terrible this is going to be when I release it. There's going to be like 5 billion bug reports. Be like, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. I was soft locked. I'm stuck. I'm sorry. So let's say I'm like, I gotta work on this old lady. It's like, oh, I need to, oh no, I killed her. All the data that was on the thing. Oops. Oh, shoot. I killed everything. Oh my gosh. I made a mistake. Well, worry not, because I have been making things. If we just find Castle Town, and run the debug file, bada bing, bada boom, everyone exists again. Super easy, super amazing to reset. This makes it like incredibly awesome when it comes to like modifying things. So like, let's say for some reason in the future, they change mannequins to be like an even better entity that has more flexibility and movement. Well, with this method, I can now just go and control F and replace like anything I need to here. Nice and easy, which makes it like super easy, even for like other adjustments. Like let's say like in the Kokiri Forest example. Like, let's say I'm like, you know what, actually, I don't like the size of everyone here. I want them to be smaller. Well, that's like super easy now. So boom, we find the debug file and we just go to attribute. Boom, all of these guys, boom. I want them to be big. Boom, now everyone's massive. Amazing. I could like literally implement mutator settings at this point. Like, this is awesome. Everyone's so large. The reason this is such a big deal, before I literally just had like command blocks directly below them that I would like manually run, which is very inefficient, especially if the NBT data goes out of date. And it's like, well, now I have to right click every single command block and separately like retype it or paste it or whatever, instead of just doing like a mass search and replace like I did just now. So this is huge. Also, item displays now exist. Like there's so many like little things, like rock model. I like, sometimes I forget what I've already done already. Here's another one. So teleporting. Teleporting before used to be you teleport to the center of like each locational map. So like I per se like have like a black box right here. You'd teleport right here. It gives yourself like 15 ticks or like to get everything to load and render. Of which case, once you were in that box for a long enough time, it would then teleport you to whatever point that you needed to be. and actually run the functions for like making the place work, basically, because if it wasn't loaded, it wouldn't like run stuff properly. That has been fixed and adjusted now. But yeah, like before it was like a good 15 ticks, so like almost a full second between. Instant. Boom, instant. It's so good. It's so good. What I'm using here is I'm using a force load method. So like as soon as you enter the teleport, it force loads everything, and then like 3 ticks later, that's when it like actually runs things, because force load takes like a tiny bit of time to like load properly. In addition to teleports, kind of in that same sort of vein here, if I am in a certain location and I save and quit now, it's going to take me to the like either Temple of Time or Link's house again. Before, it used to do that when you died specifically, and if you saved and quit and rejoined, you'd start in the same location. This is more accurate to the original game, and it does solve a lot of issues in the future coming with like multiplayer and randomizer, especially if you get soft locked. This also is a nice, easy, quick way to save and quit and reopen. Like I know some people do get stuck out of bounds. This is immediately a solution to that, rather than having to like hope you have enough bombs to like die and respawn or something. Including dungeons, if you save and quit in a dungeon, I believe it respawns you at the dungeon. Another thing, one last kind of like teleport-ish related thing, which this also solves, is like let's say I'm like in a cutscene. It's like, oh, who are you? I'm done. I'm out of here. It fully resets the cutscene, fully respawns you. It works perfectly. It's foolproof. I promise, maybe. Before we get into specific locations, let's also talk about just like optimizations in general. One of the super convenient things I've learned, and I'm sure a lot of people know about this, and people aren't gonna like come to me for answers, but there's a thing called like perf profiling or something along those lines, and you can run a perf log for about 10 seconds here. We go to debug, profiling, and here we can open the profiling text. This shows me exactly what is taking up all that processing power, starting with this piece of crap right here. So what I do is I find the thing, I copy it, and then I search it up. This is most likely to do with an enemy. Yep, the Armos. For the most part though, like I've just been going through like optimizing stuff here and there. So like right now I've mostly gotten all enemies unloaded. There's certain tick checks that for some reason keep them loaded at all times. Armos clearly passed under my radar. Honestly, a lot of stuff I couldn't even have done when I fully released the map because there's been so many different optimizations. The biggest one recently that I used, this one right here, I'm pretty sure this didn't exist in 1.18. I used to have to check player NBT to see what they were either selecting or using in their offhand. Now I can use this check, which removes the check of having to do the entire NBT check and just find the item specific part, which is incredibly more efficient. Like this alone was causing the TPS to be like 20 per player, which was insane. And I've only scratched the surface, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like there's so much more I could optimize here. Right now it's not important. Once I have everything finished, that's when I can see how much optimizing I actually have to do. But we'll get there when I get there. Here is the last main thing we can kind of cover, is like what I've actually been doing in depth to update each location, why they can take upwards of like several days to a week to finish. Some of them are faster than others. We can use Zora's River as the example finished location and Desert Colossus as the unfinished example. How's that? An additional thing, the file structure has been massively improved. Before I had things all over the place where I'd have like a teleports moving things, etc, etc. Now I just have, I'm gonna eventually have just a single maps folder that has everything involved for each location from there. This is just me saying file structure, perfect. First thing, obviously the major consideration is I need to adjust things based on the fact that multiplayer exists now. If you had multiple players join, this would run the tick location file as everyone. Now I have it so whenever someone enters that location first, they are the priority player. That means if they are an adult when they enter, the location will be existent as if it's an adult entering. If a child player enters in that area, it's still going to remain its adult features. This could cause some funkiness, but I don't see anything major happening that would be an issue. That way no extra checks happen. We don't get like crazy teleport, like weird things, like let's say you're in the spot here and then an adult player joins and suddenly the house exists and it doesn't exist and it exists again. You know, like it prevents stuff like that. So next would be chunk reset, which is what kind of like resets each location when you teleport to and from it. That kind of has the same situation where like depending on if you're an adult or child, whoever enters first spawns those enemies, sets things up in that regard. Happens in one tick instead of on tick. Some things were checked on tick or done when they should have just been doing it a single tick, if that makes sense. That was a lot of word tick. One of the major things with this, now that I have force load existing, I can always kill all enemies and respawn them fresh rather than having to check if they exist already or not. That makes sure everything like starts and stops properly, which is really nice because there were a lot of situations where it'd be like, check if this thing exists or not. If not, spawn one. And like sometimes that just wouldn't run properly. Desert Colossus isn't a great example, but I can kind of explain some stuff. So like, for example, the owl, I don't know if I use a mannequin now for this, but like that would be something I need to adjust here. Very small stuff like that. If there were pots that existed in Desert Colossus, I would have to adjust how that works because randomizer means randomized pots. I need to get that data for the pots of like what items it spawns into storage, which is actually a good point here. One of the additional things is I'm adding like a storage file to each location. So Goron City, for example, every randomized item gets stored here. That way I can apply it. Or if you swap any of these things between each other, so like let's say I move this heart over the blue rupee and the blue rupee over the heart, boom, those are randomized now. This is going to make randomizer so easy, at least in that regard, because it's like implemented straight up into the game already. So that's kind of the chunk resets. That's the tick command. The other big one is NPC text. That mostly is just a like cleanup, really. So you can kind of see the differences here. One uses like the NBT score method, which is like, that's fine. I like the way this looks a lot more though, where it checks the score independently of like the tag checks and everything, as well as condensing all the checks, the tag checks together in one piece. Before I was using this unless stop text instead of just checking if it's not there. So that's also a nice, easier visual on it. There wasn't a reason to do things as and at this point. I got rid of those. This was also printing for everyone. So if one player talked to someone, all the multiplayer people will get that text. So that's also been modified so that works properly. And yeah, just general other optimizations, text modifications that like improve just the readability and how it actually functions to be more correct. The last major one, in terms of updating rather than like adding new stuff, would probably be the cutscenes themselves. So before I would just have a single file for the cutscenes that ran, which is fine. It's still more or less the same. Again, just general modifications, better readability. The biggest thing is that there is a reset and start file now, so that allows the game to figure out how many players need to join this cutscene. If someone leaves, how do we reset this? Stuff like that. So that has all been implemented or being implemented. And again, it is very nice to just have everything resettable. Like, oh, I break something. Just kidding. I can just do a quick reset. It doesn't sound like a crazy amount. It's like 4 major files that I have to like work through for the most part. The hard part comes with the additional changes or details. Like there's things for improvement, blah, blah, blah. But like when you actually go into adding new additions, that's where things get a lot more time consuming. So for example, we got this little guy right here, which I just finished today. I finally got the spinning pot in a state that actually is cool and works and was awesome. Ooh, I need to talk about items. Should I talk about items? I'll leave that for the other video. Let's just say items are really cool in general here. So yeah, basically you can throw the pot or the bomb into the pot if you're good. I'm not good. Yeah. And then you get the reward or whatever. If you land on the right face. Which we did. Wow, good try. First try. Wow. But yeah, like adding stuff like this takes a long time. I spent like a couple hours on this just because like it's not bad, but I never wanted to make this in the first place, as you can tell by the fact that I made just a statue that didn't rotate or anything. Honestly, I don't even know how I would have made this beforehand because I'm using like a full-on entity for this guy, which you wouldn't have been able to scale him up this big to achieve this in the first place. So yeah, I'm glad I've waited honestly up till now to do this update. Just because of how much has improved with the game. But yeah, that's just like a very small example of like additions and changes I've had to make. Like obviously I also had to just create this model out of nowhere. It's not like my favorite model, but it's better than some things I've made. So I've been rambling for 32 minutes about the major stuff here. I'll make some more specific details on like enemies, items. I have some other ideas that I want to talk about more in depth. The adult child switch, that's going to be a whole video on its own. I don't know if I'm going to explain how that works, but I at least kind of want to talk about the situation with it. But again, this is kind of the progress right now. I'd say I'm like just over the 50% mark, and I've been working for this year now again, I think. Honestly, I forget when I picked it back up. I'd have to check. Let's see, actually. Looks like it was actually a little over a year now, which is surprising. I've been working on it very on and off. Definitely, if you guys are curious, by the way, I would highly recommend just like looking through the small updates channel in Discord, because like, man, it is crazy how much stuff I post in there that's like cool to look at, to me at least. I don't know, man, that's crazy. I forgot that the model for the windmill wasn't even like accurate at the time. It was literally just like a thing I made. I was like, oh, it looks like a windmill, it's good. Lake Hylia used to be 2 different locations. Now it's just one that fills and unfills because water's actually optimized finally. I predict I'm still going to be working on this for another year, most likely. Give it a year. I'll probably release some sort of version. Multiplayer is going to come first, most likely, just because that'll be done off the bat. randomizer incorporation might take a little bit to include afterwards. But as soon as I have one of those released, or like in a beta version or alpha of some kind, that's when I'll probably release a version on Patreon. It'll probably just be like a couple dollars, if that. From there, I'll basically let it give people access for a full year from there, I think, so that everyone can truly beta test it, or however long it takes before I feel like the game is stable and everything's been like truly tested. From there, that's when I'll release it to everyone after that. So eventually it will be free if you're truly like stingy. But again, for now, just stay tuned. I'll keep updating as I go here. Still working on other stuff here as well. I'll kind of probably make another update video about Battle Buddies. I just finished working on that a little bit today as well, so there should be something on that eventually. The progress on that is just a lot slower than something like this, where I've mastered the process from 5 years ago, basically. So, all right, I'm done rambling. I'm done. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys are excited. See you guys in the next devlog.